Hey everybody, how are we doing? I think Nintendo is taking a look here between might have just announced a new Zelda game. Oh my gosh. It's the start of the off stars. Hey Evan, good to see you here. I think we got some questions. See Blake's here, Evan's here. Evan says we're gonna do the fish and prostate cancer, right? So chapter 3, stat 201, a little chill music right here. So stat 201, chapter 3 quiz, fish and prostate cancer. There's that one. I see a question about homework 2. And what were you wondering about? Let me know your clarification on that, Justin. Hey, Justin, good to see you here. LG, we are doing it then. Nice. I'm good to see you here, Samantha. So, which things are we going to look at here? We got BS 474, homework 2, 4, and while loops. Let me know what you're thinking about. Where is Mubot? He should be awake. He's here. Is he not awake? He's here. Say hey to Mubot. Let's throw out some Mubot points. Mubot should be here in the chat. Say hey to Mubot. I woke him up. Let me go get the fish and prostate cancer question. Amazing questions from my Pearson. That assignment is due tonight. And there are, you get 5 attempts at these. They're a little bit challenging. And a good way to know where you're at. I was wondering how I'm supposed to build, test a loop without a data file. Ah, yes. Building and testing loops without data files. Let's write that down right here. Loops without data files. Good question. Good question, Justin, right there. I've got that written down. We'll do that here next. Be dropping those questions. We're getting it loaded up. Mubot is in the chat. Once you're right here. There we go. Mubot is everywhere. Assignments. Any more questions? We only have 2 questions right now, so we got a lot. If you're in 201 or 474, let me know your questions, because we only have 2 questions right now. So, same song. New song right here. We're loading up the fish and prostate cancer question. It's on the quiz, right? Is it on the quiz or it's the homework, right? It's on the homework. Wait, which one is it on? Is it on the quiz or the homework? Chapter 3 quiz? We're going to find that fish and prostate cancer question. Here we go. Fox is in the chat. Fishes and prostate cancer. People say. I think we're going to find it here in a second. Is it on the quiz or is it on the homework? Here we go. Found it. Okay, we got the fish and prostate cancer question. And we're here at 6:13. Let's do it. So the fish and prostate cancer question. With this question right here, we get a mosaic plot. Now, here's the big notes you need to have. A mosaic plot is a visualization of what data? A mosaic plot is a visualization of what data? See if you can answer the question by using this graphic right here and write down these notes. A mosaic plot visualizes what kind of data? So you want to use this right here. I'm blocking mosaic plot right now. Mosaic plot visualizes what data? These are the notes you need to have. The general knowledge we need to have that a mosaic plot visualizes what kind of data? A mosaic plot is a visualization of what kind of data? Great job, Evan, right there. Evan, correct, yeah. Bivariate categorical, 2 categorical variables. So that's what a mosaic plot visualizes, bivariate categorical. To, like, you ask a categorical question like, how much fish do you eat? And right here we see how much fish do you eat. Was it a small, never, moderate portion or large portion? And did you get prostate cancer? So we have 2 questions. Did you get prostate cancer? Yes or no. Categories. How much fish do you eat? Small, never, medium, or large portion. And we see a lot of people eat a moderate portion. A lot of people eat a small portion. Few people eat the never portion, and few people eat the large portion. Few people had prostate cancer by the marginal distribution down here. This is the marginal distribution on the side, which it doesn't do a total, but you can kind of get a guesstimate of what the margin is for the amount that eat that category. Can you go over conditional? Yeah. So when we do a conditional means we are setting a condition right here. Let me take this screenshot and put this screenshot. I'm going to add this screenshot so I don't forget. A really cool question I asked today. New sheet. There we go. And so this right here, a conditional distribution means you are just asking one condition. So we would say, given somebody had prostate cancer. So we'd be looking at this right. Whoops, wrong one. Given somebody had prostate cancer would mean this group of individuals right here. Does that make sense, Samantha? Given somebody had prostate cancer, what is the probability of this? So we'd only look at these individuals right inside of that group right there. That'd be given somebody had prostate cancer. I think some other questions might go over it more in depth, but we'd say given this is true, then what's the probability of this? So given someone has prostate cancer, that's what a conditional does. You could say of the people who had prostate cancer, if someone had prostate cancer, but you're setting a condition for one of the variables and then looking at the distribution of the other. So it's conditional on one being true. That's why we call it conditional. Where a marginal distribution only looks at one variable and not the other, and it's called marginal because it's the distribution in the where. Could it be more than one condition? Usually we just set one condition. You could do like for this or this group and you'd have to combine it. Like it's a little complex. We don't usually do that on the test. There's like maybe one question that does it here, and it's in the margin, as Blake said. That's the marginal, and you can see here, which the first question goes over, a lot fewer men had prostate cancer because you can see this is a smaller portion. Yesterday, we had a little fun with this question, and we found out that it has a big boundary. You can pretty much guess something between about 5 to 15%. Yeah, Angel, let's go over that here in a moment. Homework 2. Yep, we're doing that next, I think. So we found out if you guess something like 18%, it's going to get mad at you, so don't put that in. It's actually almost exactly 7%. I think I guessed around 10%, but I would have been off. But we did it, and we broke it down into segments, and we found out it's a 15th. So yesterday, we broke it down really good. And I think the boundary is... No, I think it's even lower, Blake. 7 is like the exact guess because it's 6.666. So I think if you guess about 5 to 15, but I'd put 7%. 7 is pretty much exactly what it is. And what we're estimating right here is the marginal distribution. It's about 1/15th. So here's the breakdown we did yesterday to find out almost exactly what it is. It wants us to make an educated guess, and it has a very big boundary of about 5 to 15%. But once again, I'd put about 7%. So it's a guess about the percent that got prostate cancer. There are more men who blank and never seldom ate fish. Now, when you look at this, we want to know if there's more men from the never seldom who got prostate cancer or did not get prostate cancer. Now, this one's pretty tough. I'm going to zoom in on it here. If you look at this, and if I told you these were bars of gold, and remember, gold is just how much gold do you have, would you want bar of gold A? Let me highlight it in red right here. Or bar of gold B? Now, it's only the gray area. If those are bars of gold, and you're only getting the gray slivers right there, would you want bar of gold A? Do you just want more gold? So which one of those is bigger and contains more individuals in it? A or B? And I do admit it's harder to tell with this one. It'd be easier if it asked us for the lower ones. But which of those? It's A. And it'd be way easier if I asked you which had more people in it with these two areas, A or B right here. Which of those, A or B, has more people in it? This is a way easier question to answer. A or B right there, which once again, in this one, the group that has more people in it, just size-wise, we're just talking that this is bigger than this, is what it's asking for. Overall, there are more people in this group than this group, and it also applies to this up here, but it's harder to see because it's a longer sliver. But still, if you look at the width of this is maybe twice as wide right here, but this is way longer. So it's definitely going to be the people who do not have prostate cancer. There are more men who did not have cancer and never seldom ate fish. The percent of men blank who never seldom ate fish is higher. Okay, this is so hard to... The way they've wrote them with the blanks in the middle is hard to do. The percent of men, so it's with cancer, without cancer. So never seldom, okay. The percent of men, and now it's comparing the conditionals right here. So if you look at this right here, the percent of men who never seldom ate fish, which of them has a higher percent? The no or the yes? Now look at the gray bar. Which of them has more men who never seldom ate fish? The no or the yes? The percent of men. Oh, wait, but so now it's talking about conditionally here. This one is talking conditionally here in the percent. So if you look at it percent wise, in the no group, this is a smaller percent of the no group, where in the yes group, this gray bar is a larger percent. Does that make sense, Evan, to say the percent of men with cancer who never seldom ate fish is larger? So let me double check. The percent of men with cancer who never seldom ate fish is higher. And so you see this gray bar is bigger because it's conditional. So it's saying if somebody had cancer, there is a larger portion who never seldom ate fish. If somebody did not have cancer, there is a smaller portion. Exactly. And it's just that there's less people who had cancer. That's why it's less longer right here. This means that there's less people who had cancer. This means that there's more people who did not have cancer. But the proportion of people who never seldom ate is larger in the group that had cancer versus within those who did not. And this is a conditional right here. Given somebody did not have cancer, there's less never seldom. Given somebody did have cancer, there is more never seldom. Pretty tricky right there. It is talking about the conditionals right there. So that's kind of what we want to get into. And there's a lot more questions in this. Drop another question right here. We're about to do some 474, but does that make more sense? This is a good tricky one. Sometimes we ban a question, we don't like it, but I do like this question. I do think it's pretty good. It's just a little bit weird on the wording. I wish they wouldn't put the blank in the middle of the question, because I wish they would just say, like, maybe this is just do it as a true or false. Like, that'd probably be a better way of asking it. Question 3.3.8, college revisit. Thank you, even right there. Evan right there. I said even. College revisit. How does it start? I'll put it here. Stat 201. Chapter 3 quiz. And college revisited. Okay, we'll do that here in a moment. But first, we're doing a little 474. 474, making for loops and stuff without a file. Here we go. Let's do it. Same thing. Tomato, tomato. Thank you, Evan. Evan, 100 points right there. Edmund. So let's make some for loops right here. Now, we can write our own for loops without any sort of file. This is an R script right here. You can use an R script or an R markdown file. An R markdown file is going to be where you can knit it. An R script is just where you do your scripting code. So if you want to knit it, you can do an R markdown file. If you want to just do scripting code and make a Word file afterwards on your own, you can do an R file. Either one's fine. As The Rock always says, it doesn't matter. Just make sure to turn in your R file and make sure to turn in a Word file for this. So once again, turn in R file, turn in knitted Word document. So, or just Word document. So you can just turn in the Word document. Either which way, you need to make sure you turn in both of those. So with this, let's take a look. If we're going to write a for loop right here, we can just write a for loop and use a snippet. Snippets are going to be basically free code for us to write. Now, the easiest for loop to write that we always practice is just printing the numbers 1 through 10. This gives us the idea of what a for loop looks like and shows us how a for loop works by understanding a for loop has 3 components. The 3 components to a for loop are the vector it goes through, which here is 1 to 10, the variable that is the placeholder. So we got the variable placeholder, which is I here, and then also the skeleton, which is the code that always runs. Now, if you're going to write a for loop, when you write a for loop, write your first few instances of it, right? Your first few instances. Don't just start by writing a for loop. That's what a lot of people do, is they start just saying, oh, I'm going to write a for loop. I'm just going to write my for loop. Oh, it doesn't work. I don't know what's going on. I do that all the time too. So don't be like Brian. Be like Brian, who knows what to do and then does it when he's teaching. So when I'm teaching, I tell you how to do it properly, but sometimes I make the mistakes I tell you not to make, and I learn from the mistakes, hopefully. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to write a for loop that goes through. Let's get some data going right here. We don't need data to do our assignment, but we're going to use data for this to practice. So we're pulling up data from Survey 09, which is forever ago now. Haha, sad times. And so now we've got the data loaded in reg class, because that's where the data lives. If someone else were to run this, they could pull up the data. Make sure you have reg class installed if you want to follow along. Once again, I'm just doing the example right here. Let's say we wanted to go through and we wanted to find out we've got the different classes of UT students, and we want to know the weight of each class of UT student. So when you think about this, if I want to know for like freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, the average weight of those classes of students, I should probably do what? So don't write a for loop yet. I want to do a for loop that goes through freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and finds the average weight of the students in that class. But I should probably start by doing what? We'll see what 474 says. I should probably start by, well, so we can find the levels. Cool, I like that. Great job, and good answer right there, Justin. So let's find the levels. And so levels, survey, and there you go. It's out of order, but that's fine. So now we got freshmen. So those are the levels. But you're right. So that's the level. I like this. I like this. Good answers, everybody. And so now I should probably do what, though? So now I should do what? I want to find the average weight of each class. So don't write a for loop yet. I should probably start by doing what? Like, what would be a good instance? So usually, what would be the first instance of my for loop? What's my for loop going to do first? So I want to find the average weight of each class. So my for loop is first going to do what? What's the first instance of what my for loop does? If I want to find the average weight of each class of students, my for loop will start running by finding the what and storing that for me. Let's create an average weight thing for us. Average dot class weight. Awesome. See it, Evan. Oh my gosh. Well, so we don't have a variable yet because we haven't made a for loop. So we don't know what the variable is yet. But if we write out the first few instances of this, and this is what you want to do, is you always want to write some instances of your for loop to get it going. So if we write the first few instances of this, the first time my loop runs, it's going to do what? If I want to find the average weight of each class, find the average weight of each class. The first instance will do what? The first time the for loop runs, it should do what? The first time the for loop runs, it should do what? So the first time my for loop runs, because I'm going to find the average weight of each class, the first time the for loop runs, it's going to do what for me? So it's going to find the average weight of each class. So the first time it runs, it's going to find the average weight of who? So my for loop is going to go and it's going to find the average weight of freshmen. It's going to find the average weight of one class. So which class is it going to do first? You're right, Angel. Great work right there, Angel. It's going to find the average weight of one class. So which class will it find the average weight of first? It'll find the average weight of freshmen. So we need to write that instance out. The for loop is going to find the average weight of freshmen, then find the average weight of sophomores or juniors technically. But it's going to find the average weight of each class. So let's write out the instance where it finds the average weight of freshmen. So how would we find the average weight of freshmen? So to find the average weight of freshmen, we're going to need to do what right here of our data? We need to take a what of our data to find only freshmen. To find only freshmen, we need to take a what of our data. A subset, Justin, great job right there. A subset. Make sure Mubot doesn't forget you. That is true. He won't forget you now. So we're going to go here to subset, and then we go here to survey, and then we say, I wish it would, it's called X, there it is right there. And then we go right here and say freshman. And then we check what we've created, and that's just the freshman. We can click it and make sure it's just freshmen right here. You notice it's all freshmen. We have confirmed that we have just taken freshmen. So then we need to go here and we need to find the mean of the freshmen right here for their weight. So that's the mean weight of freshmen. Does this make sense? So now I've written out a code that just finds the mean weight of freshmen. I'm then going to store this into here and store it into the spot freshman. And I now have the first instance of my for loop. Is this making sense right here? Ask me to slow down, but I've written the first instance because if you notice, I can now do this by writing the next instance of the for loop by going here and just changing this to sophomore. And if you see, we can now see this works, and we can check the end result of it by doing this. I've written 2 ints. Oh, see, I can't spell sophomore. Sophomore. No, sophomore. So we need to restart our vector because I'm going to have an error in there. And then it's not sophomore, it's sophomore. Brian can't spell. And there we go, is the second instance. Now, by writing these 2 instances, we can see where the variable would be. How many things in my code need to be replaced with a variable? I mean, it is one thing, but how many times am I replacing it? You can tell where the thing is in the code that will need to be replaced to get this to loop over a certain thing. So can you see where the variable is going to go? It's going to have to be 2 times, right? So now we are going to have to go in here and change this to something called like class. And class needs to be those values that we found earlier. So class is what's going to take on the values of the different levels so that when it runs, it's going to do this. Now, interestingly, I can reorder this such that we give it the order 1, 4, 2, 3, and now it's in proper order. Do you see how I reordered it by telling it to report it back the first, the fourth, the second, the third? So I was able to reorder it by telling it which positions to pull at which time, and I could call this vector. So now I'm calling that vector to just give myself the ability to call it as these values. Vector just exists as those. Does that make sense what I've done right there? I'm doing a shorthand. I'm doing a trick so that I can just have the name. I could have just written the vector. Like, for all intents and purposes, I could have just gone here and written them myself like this and achieved the same goal by writing it out. So any which way we do it, it's going to work. So I now have the vector I want. With the vector I now have that I want, I can go right here and take my code and go to the for loop. And with the for loop, I drop in my code and I go to the variable, which is class, and I go to my vector, which is called vector, and I run it. And guess what? It works. And the whole reason this worked out well was we wrote multiple instances to confirm it works. So when you think about your code right here, your code, and I don't want to give too much of hints, but I want you to think about what your code is doing with the banking vector. You're trying to take, and this is more specific to your assignment now. No, sorry. Check out, I think you have to have, yeah, I think it's, if you're at the student union, say hey to Vicky. If anyone ever wants, say hey to Vicky, tell her Brian from Stat 21 says hey. She's such the nicest woman in the world. Absolutely love her. Love Deborah, Vicky. They're all amazing. Just such shout outs to Vicky there in the student union. But say hey to Vicky. She's so awesome. At Hodges, I don't know if I know people. The Hodges women were really nice to me too. So I went over and bought a lot of snacks from Hodges when I was at UT. But what part is considered arguments? Which part of arguments? 100 points in the chat for Vicky. Of course, any day for Vicky. She's awesome. So Brian's going to go through your assignment here just real quickly. I'm going to talk about it. So when you think about your assignment, hey, Shaq, good to see you here. When you think about your assignment, in your assignment, you need to append to a vector. So you need to write to position 2 of a vector the new value of your money using position 1. So position 1 is your initial money. So I wouldn't do that in a loop. You can see where the loop is really going to take place because right here, this is where the looping. So I don't want to write the code for yours, but position 1 is your initial money. Then you need to write to position 2 of a vector the new value of your money using position 1. Do you see where the placeholder is going to be? So this is a huge hint for your assignment, and the theory behind your assignment is that your initial money is how much your vector of your creation. Stop if you enter using a character for any arguments. Oh yeah, so if someone were to put in like if vector our vector thing right here. If vector position class, Where's class thingy? There's down here. If vector position class is dot numeric, then we could put here break the loop, which it should still run. So that would stop it right there. And let me reset my vector to confirm it runs. Let me take that code and put it down here. Still runs, yeah. But if I did is character, it's actually going to break it. And then it says null. So this right here is checking to see if those things that I'm running, you could do it different ways. That's not the exact code, but the important thing right there is the if and then the break. Does that make sense, Angel, right there? That's not the code. Stop if the user enters a character for any of the arguments. So you need to evaluate the arguments and see if they're characters, and if they are characters, you need to end it. Well, so the important part right here is you're doing an if. So with the if, you need a condition right here, and then you can run a break if those conditions are true. So I can't code the exact thing you need, but you have to think about how you're using an if right here. So it says if the user enters a character for any of the arguments. So that's where you have to write this if right here, and then you can return a break. You can also do an if and a cat, which will return a message. So if you want to print a message to the screen, you can always add a cat right here, and you can add a message. So when you use a break right here, we can see examples of breaks, like with for loops, to say something like if. So let me put a new section right here with breaks and messages. 29, 42, BS474. Homework, breaks, and messages. So right here, we have a variable I going through the vector 1 through 10. And if condition I equals 5, break the loop. So now we go to print I. And what will this loop do, Angel? So what will this loop do when I run it? This code right here will do what? Just think theoretically. What will this code do? It stops at 5, right? So you could have it stop at the start and do something like, maybe somebody is putting in something here and you do not want, if I is numeric, is dot numeric I, and if I is numeric, it's going to break, so it's not even going to run right there, because in this instance, it saw if I is numeric and it just broke the loop. So that's a logical check right there that says this is true, that I is numeric. So if I is numeric, break the loop. We could have had another thing in here like if I plus 1 if numeric, and or I plus 1 is numeric, is numeric. So there's another, it's still just breaking because that right there, it just breaks the loop. Does this make sense, right? So you can include an if with multiple statements with ands and ors to check things, and if any of those are true, you can just end your loop right there and just say stop it, and you can break it and not run it. So that'll just stop it from making an error, because we should be checking something like, well, this one won't break either which way, but we could say like 2 plus I, and now we could have if I is a character, is dot character I, because we don't want someone to enter in letters here. So you see it works, but if somebody enters in characters right here like letters, then it will stop. But if we didn't have this comment, it's going to run into an error. So you could then make a custom message right here where you could say, if I is a character, then cat to the screen, please don't enter in characters. And right here, there it goes. Is this making sense right here, Angel? How I've done it, where this is I going through the letters, which are capital letters. Letters is a vector of capital letters. That's what we want to see. And that's just doing multiple examples right here and how I can do it, where it checks it and it says, oh, I is a character. Well, it's going to print that to the screen. It says, please don't enter in characters. And then it just stops the loop right there. You could enter in a next, but you got to be careful because what I could do is I could go to next, and actually this will actually do the same thing. It just keeps saying, please don't enter in characters, please don't. It kind of does the same thing, but it goes to the next instance of the loop and it doesn't run the print. So we could fix this to make this look a little bit better by going to paste around this and adding a second argument right here, backslash, whoops, backslash n right there. That's a special character. Oh, really? Cat paste. Oh, I want to do cat paste. Cat paste. That's what I made a mistake. And then I want this right here, and there it's cat paste, not paste cat. There we go. So now it's just saying, please don't enter in characters. Please don't enter in characters. We could do something like, watch this. This is fun right here. If I as a character then store into error, error, well, no, let's go here and create error equals 0. And then error equals error plus 1. And please don't enter in characters. So wait. You've entered a character. And then error times error times stop this. Okay. We'll work with that. Okay, let's try this. There we go. There we go. So now it's actually tracking the errors someone's making because I created something that if I as a character then run this code, kind of a good review of ifs right there. If this is true, then do this. Increase the error counter by 1. Error starts at 0. If I don't restart the error counter, it's just going to say we made even more errors. So you can just keep stacking up your errors right here because the error counter needs to be reset, which we could do. No. If I'm trying to think of how to make it so it knows it's on the first loop instance. I wonder you can check if something doesn't exist. Might be a better way to code it, but still. Preferably, I'd like to do it all inside the for loop, like create this error object. Like if error does not exist, like check global environment. If error does not exist, create it. Me watching this, understanding none of it. Ali Twinkle's nice. But Angel, does it make sense right there? What we have going on? It's just a bunch of if statements right there, Evan. But how are we doing, Angel? Is it making more sense? Does this add help your understanding about how to use the ifs? Gonna hop to the next topic right here. Evan's got a good question. Thank you so much, Evan, and everyone being here. Where's my Google Calendar? We got until like 11:30, 11:40 to do some work. So question 3A, college value. Yeah, I think we're doing that one next, right? College revisited. Is that one? Nice job. Let's go check it out. 201 time. You got it right here. Thank you, 201. We're doing some college revisited. College revisited. What? How's this start out? You might have given me, let me go look. You might have given me the 3.38. I might be able to find it even quicker with that. Yeah, thank you. That helped me find it real quick. Starts out the Pew Research Center. So I'm going to put the question on that. The Pew Research Center. Nice job. Okay, we got the question marked. Found it. No exact one we're doing right here. It looks like we got another one. So we got some more questions coming up. 3640. Let's do this. Here we go. Thank you, Taylor and Evan. We got 2 more questions on the way right here. Keep dropping those questions right here. We'll make sure to do them. I'm going to grab these questions right here. The Pew Research Center, that's what we're doing, right? And then Taylor asked about this one, the Center for Disease Control Prevention. So we're putting that one next. Stat 201, Chapter 3 quiz. And there it is right there. We're good to go. Okay. So this one right here. From the Mosaic plot, what percentage of respondents were college presidents? So that's asking about a woo. That's asking about a what distribution. Oh, man. Oh, for 20%. Oh, no, we'll do it, Taylor. We got it. So it says what percent who responded were college presidents. So that's asking, well, it's a Mosaic plot. That is a Mosaic plot. Marginal, great job right there. Good review of the terminology. A marginal distribution. So that's in the margins. It looks to me to be about 33%. We'll try to look at the boundaries on this. So if I'm gonna, I think it's 33. Like, let's take a look. What's really cool, what I can do here is I can go and I can draw on this. There we go. And then I can take and I can copy this. And yeah, that's a third. If that does that make sense how that's a third right there? So that's gonna be 33%. Like I think they're going. That one's a little bit easy. Like it's hard to see sometimes. Like what is it? But that's 1/3 of it. Like the margin is 1/3 is presidents, 2/3 is adults. Pretty close right there. So now we'd put in what here for the percent who responded who are college presidents. I should put in what. It's probably got a nice boundary. We'll maybe test it out a little bit here on the boundaries of it. It's probably between 30 to 35%. So I put in 33. Like pretty good guesstimate is 33%, but they just want you to look at the marginal distribution and we get some better help there. From the mosaic plot, it's pretty easy to see if there are more U.S. adults who said college provides excellent value or more presidents who said college provides excellent value. Explain briefly. Okay, so the excellent value is, they're talking about a conditional right here. Is there more U.S. adults who say this or more college presidents? And when you look at this right here, they better... They're talking about just numeric. I wish we had a contingency table. This is a tougher question. Let me read it very carefully. No, because the proportion of the areas of the rectangles to the area of the bar is not easy to see. No, because it's not easy to compare the area of the two rectangles. They are two rectangles. Yes, because the area of the two rectangles are easy to compare. Yes, because the proportion of the area of each rectangle to the area of the bar is easy to see. Oh, and look, you could have figured out the 1/3 right there because the numbers are right there. So that you could have figured it out right here. That is the marginal. So you didn't have to look at it. You can figure out 1/3. So does it want from the mosaic plot? Okay, but you can use this right here. So they're asking you to guesstimate. This one I don't like because what they're asking is there more people here or is there more people here? So we're going to really, I think it's going to be, it's not easy to answer. But what they're asking us, ban this question. If you look at it, well, wait, it's 1/3. So wait a minute. If it's 1/3, then what you should be able to do is you should be able to compare it like this. And it should be that there's more college presidents because if you look at the height of that, if you double it, because this is twice as many people, I'm going to say yes, because I understand theoretically. Wait, did you say you could figure out? You can figure out 1/3 from these numbers up here because this is how many total people there are. The total amount of people are 1055 plus 2143. So that's the total. And you could take 1055, which is college presidents, divided by that number, and you could get 33%. Does that make sense right there? Yeah, so there's the numbers up there of how many totals there are, which represents the marginal distribution down here on the bottom. So it's important to, those are the things we really need to know. It's just like, I can easily compare them, but I'm like, what do they want me to, I don't, please tell me you get this one wrong. This question is ridiculous. Every once in a while I come to a question, I'm like, I can compare them. We'll come back to that one. From the mosaic plot, it's easy. Is it easy to see how the percent of college... Is it easy to see how the percent of college presidents who said college provides excellent value compares with the percent of all U.S. adults who said this? Wait, is that not the previous one? Is it easy to see there are more U.S... Oh, it's talking about the percent. Okay, so they're talking about the percent right here. So is it easy to see that more college professors said college provides an excellent value? Yes or no? Just really easy on that. If you look at for only college professors, presidents, versus U.S. adults, is it easy to compare that more college presidents think it provides an excellent value? Yes, because that's a conditional distribution. So this one, I think, is where they want you to answer yes. This is super easy to see because the proportion of the areas of each rectangle, because that's the proportion, the conditional. So on the previous one, they want you to answer no because it's not easy to compare the areas of them. So that's what they're getting at right there. I'm pretty certain that's what they're getting at. Even though I was able to do it, I guess they're like, well, you can do it because you teach the class, but it's not going to be easy for most people. From the mosaic plot, do you think there's an association? Now, when we talk about there being an association, this would mean that we know something about people's views based on if they're an adult or they're a president. Do you think if I tell you this person's a college president, do you think they would view college more favorably or less favorably? Or as Rock would say, it doesn't matter. Do you think a president would view college more favorably or less favorably, or it doesn't tell you anything? And that's what an association means. Associations means if we know X, it tells us something about Y. So X would be more favorably, right? If we know somebody is a president, it means they're more likely to view it favorably. It doesn't mean they do. It just means they're more likely to view it favorably. So yes, and right here, because the distributions are different. So if there's no association, they'd be similar. We should get everything right. Woo! A little scary right there. So should have noticed, as I was reading the next question, it kind of became more apparent to me that when you're comparing how many are in each group, you're looking at the area of each rectangle. So if you're looking at how many are in each group, this is the area of this right here, which we were talking about pizza yesterday being the area. That's how many people right here is the area of it. And they're saying it's not easy to compare the area of that to the area of this. It is easier to compare these areas because it's obvious this one is bigger and has more people in it. But it's easier to compare the proportion, which is going to be the length within the conditional. Does that make sense there, Evan? That this is the conditional right here, and it's easy to say there are more presidents who view it as an excellent versus adults who view it as an excellent, which is the next line of questioning they give on line C, which is talking about when we compare the proportion of presidents versus the proportion of adults, it's very clear to see that more presidents view it favorably versus adults view it favorably. It's harder to see that there are fewer adults in this group, which is the area of this, that there are more presidents in this group, which I can tell by zooming in and seeing here visually that we would just stack this right here. Little hard to see that. So I do agree it's more difficult, but I was able to figure that out just by using some geometry. Pretty good question. A little tricky on the one. The only one I didn't like about this was part B. Tell me if you got part B wrong. Once again, I do correct those things. Yeah, so everything else about this question was great, but every once in a while there's a little where I'm like, I don't like the subjective parts. Like when it's like, is it hard to see this? Is it easy? I'm just like, that's so subjective. I mean, like for some people, maybe some people would say it's hard to see part C. Geometry was not a skill as expected using this class. I know, right? We don't like test questions like that. Like, I mean, some people might say part C is hard. Some people are like, part C is really hard to see. So, subjective questions we don't like here. Man, subjective. That happened to me whether or not it's easy to see versus, yeah, let me know. If you think one's not fair, just tell me. I might correct it. It's possible. Bar charts are easier to read than pie charts usually. So, it's, yeah. I think, and then Taylor had the next one. Drop some more questions in the chat. We still got like 30 plus minutes. We got the Centers for Disease Control. Ooh. The assignment's due tonight. So we need to do some more questions. The Center for Disease Control. Oh, wait. That's Research Center. Can you do the films question on quiz 3? We'll take a look at that here. Yes, thank you, Wes. We're doing next. Center for Disease Control. Why am I tired? I got like 8 hours of sleep last night. Is it on the homework? Oh, I found it. It literally is the second to last question. Literally. Second to last question. 46. 53. Let's go check this out. The Center for Disease Control has estimated that 19.8% of Americans over 15 years or older are obese. Well, thank you for Center for Disease Control. The CDC conducts a survey on obesity and various behaviors. A table of self-reported values of exercise is completed below. So we have the percent who report in these groups. So this is categorical, and it is giving a relative frequency for each. And it looks like it's giving the conditional, given that someone is inactive, then what percent of them are normal, overweight, or obese? Given that someone has irregular activity, weird ways to phrase it, then what are in what groups? Regular, not intense. And, it's within the normal. It's given someone has a normal, because they should have to 100 right here. So it's given someone has a normal body mass, what is the probability that they are in this group? or those groups right there. Given someone is overweight, what's the probability in these groups? Given someone is obese, what's the probability in this group? They're in this group. And you can see that people who are obese are most likely to be what? People who are obese are most likely to be in what group? People who are obese are most likely to be what? If somebody is obese, they are most likely to be in the what group? They're most likely, so I'll zoom in so you can see it. They're most likely to be in the inactive group. Given someone is obese, so this is a conditional distribution right here. Given someone is obese, they are most likely to be in the inactive group. Given somebody is normal weight, whatever that means, then they are most likely to be in the regular, not intense. And so let's go take a look at the information given to us right here. Are these percentage columns, are these column percentages, row percentages, or table percentages? So they are column percentages right here. We can tell because they add up to 100 if you add down the columns, conditional if someone is normal. So the reason, like, these are rows, but you can tell, and I almost thought it was row percentages to start, but if it was row percentages, these would add up to 100. If it's column percentages, the columns would add up to 100. Just so you can see easily, or if it was table percentages, the table would add up to 100, which it does not. This is more than 100. Also, across right here is about 30, 39, so it's not row percentages. Definitely column. Use the graphical displays to show the different percentages of the physical activities for the 3 different groups. Okay. Oh, man. Which pie chart shows the data for the normal BMI group? Okay, so we just need to look at the normal. So the normal is going to be 23, 27, 31, 16, and we can get it on the screen here at the same time. The smallest is going to be the regular intense, and looks like it could be this one or this one. We're between these two right here. And it looks like the blue inactive needs to be a little bit less. So is it A, B, C, or D? So the blue, which is inactive, is about 23%, and that gives a clue. So is it A, B, C, or D? Because the inactive blue is 24%. So would that be C or D? Because inactive right here. So that's 24%. So we're only looking at this one right here. Is that going to be C or D? What do you say in the chat? And then we can see how to narrow this down. Because we have inactive right here, which is 24%. We also have regular intense. So regular intense, we've narrowed it down to these 2 choices because regular intense should be a little tiny sliver of only 16.76%. But now looking at the blue inactive, is that going to be C or D? Because blue inactive is 24%. So rounding it. So is it C or D? Which of those makes more sense right there? So looking at it, does that look like 25%? It's about 25%, or a little bit less than. Or does this look a little less than 25? The answer is going to be C. C right there. Which of these is the overweight? So we need to do the same sort of trick right here. Great job, Evan. Thank you so much, Evan. 100 points. Whoops, I did a zoom in. 100 points right there, Evan. Keep up the work. So now we're doing the same thing with this one right here, where we're looking at the overweight. And the overweight goes, it's got a big one right there on the intense, got a very small yellow. So it's got to be A or C. You're welcome. Gracias. So it's got to be A or C. And the blue, once again, is inactive. So that's 26%. It's going to be this one right here because that's way more. There's this small sliver for the 14% right there. That's the regular intense. And then the blue sliver needs to be a little bit more than 25. That's just a little bit more than 25. Oh, no worries. Hope everything's all right with you. Which one shows the obese group right here? So obese has that little tiny 9%. So we're probably between these 2 right here. And then the red, what is the red? Inactive. So inactive needs to be a large portion. That looks to be 25%. So it looks to be that it's going to be this one right here. Wow, man, that's a little tough. It's going to be the red versus the blue. So the blue right here is inactive, and inactive is this right here. You could make these graphics. Just saying hello because you're, oh, that's cool, awesome. Yeah. That's way big. That's like a third right there. That blue right there is like a third. So we wouldn't want the blue inactive. Wait a minute. The red is the irregular, and the red was too large right here. I reversed it. The irregular, and this is for the obese. The irregular should be about 28%, which should be smaller than the blue. This one has the red bigger than the blue. I finished the film's question. Can you actually do the... Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. The data provides... So is there an association? What do you notice right here? Between the groups, the people who are obese are more likely to be what? The people who are obese are more likely to be what? The people who are obese are more likely to be what? Which points to an association because we see differences among the conditional distributions, like given someone is normal, given someone is overweight, so given someone's obese, given someone is obese, they're more likely to be inactive. So the data provides evidence. No, the cause. It's one of those false words right there. We don't say that. The data provide evidence that the lack of exercise and BMI are not independent. It could be that obesity causes lack. I don't like the cause word. No, we don't want cause. The data provide evidence that are not independent. It could be. Or another variable. Yeah, or both. That's the way they explain that right there. It's just that there's an association. It's just that people... It's not that if you don't exercise, you'll become obese. I mean... There's people maybe who have a more limited diet who get more limited exercise, but there's sort of a balance because truthfully, not to get too much into exercise and stuff like that, but it's just an equation. Like if you want to have a healthy lifestyle, you have to look at your sleep, your food, and your exercise, and you really want to put those things in balance because, if you're a pro athlete, you're going to be eating a ton, but really everyone needs sleep. Like there's really, I don't think you can be at the highest levels of performance without giving your body the fuel it needs. And sleep is a fuel we all need. Now, we need it at different levels, but I can't imagine somebody getting like 3 hours of sleep nightly and having high performance in any sort of area. So, but it all depends. Like pro athletes are going to exercise a lot more and eat a lot more. Now, if we're doing sports or something like that, we might be doing a club sport and maybe we're eating a moderate amount and exercising a moderate amount, but it's an equation. So just depends on how your equation is built for what your needs are. So it's all personal to you. With that, we're going to do Wes's question here next. Let's do it. Just a little random life advice of Brian right there. You do you. It's like everyone, can you walk through number 4? Which one is number 4 right there, Paul? Let me know which one we're working on and we will do that. Not 3 hours of sleep. I'm very successful. Evan. 100 points right there. Sorry, Evan. Pause. Thank you so much. Good to see you here. So Paul in the chat. Medical researchers. That's a Stat 201 one? So Paul, thank you so much. Medical researchers. Stat 201. Is it the quiz or the homework? Medical researchers. And then Wes had a question. Oh, wait, Wes, your question was paying professor question. Oh, it's 201. Yeah. Paying profession. Stat 201, chapter 3 quiz. Paying profession. Okay. Okay. Homework. Okay. Medical research follows. Oh, we did the Swedish fish. Or the Swedish man. We did that one at the 6-minute mark. We could go back, but we did the Swedish fish one. Swedish men, Swedish fish. I just like saying Swedish fish. Paying profession. We could go loop back and do that. You're welcome. I didn't get my sleep. I was like talking about sleep. How's it? It starts out paying profession. What's the start of the question say, Wes? Might be the last one. Can you tell me the start of the question, Wes? It says paying profession in a random sample. Okay, good, awesome. In a random sample. Okay, that helps me find it really quickly. Thank you, Wes. 100 points right there. Help me find that question. And it's from the quiz, is it? In a random sample of U.S. adults. We'll find it here in a second. So many questions. Okay, cool. We'll find it. Found it. Okay. In a random sample of U.S. adults. Let me write it down right here. In a random sample of U.S. adults. Here we go. Let's do it. Okay, we've got a random sample of U.S. adults. Let's check out this question right here. They asked them, how important is it to you personally to become a high-paying career or profession? A mosaic plot of the results is given. Complete the following. Okay. So here we go. We got gender right here. MW. Oh, and then it's doing multiples. Okay. Man, they like to have some fun with these questions right here. So what they're doing right here is they're breaking it down into 4 groups. So they're cheating by adding another variable basically within here. So you've got the age 18 to 34, the age 35 to 64. You've got male, you've got woman right here, men, women. And then you've got the respondents saying right here how important it is, with the very important being green, one of the most important being right here, and the not important right here. So if you see the differences look to be mostly, is it between gender or is it between age group? Where do you see really the differences right here between gender or with age group right here? Do you see like an age group difference where you go from the 18 to 34 age group to the 35 to 64, which Brown's in? Or do you see really men-women differences? Where do the major differences look to be with this mosaic plot? When you jump between the age groups or you look between gender right here? Where do the differences look to mostly be between the way the mosaic plot looks, which is what this question get at? Age group, I think the age group is a more where the age group, if you compare this right here, and I'll draw on it to show it a little bit better. If we are going to compare age groups, we're going to look right here at this versus this. And if you look at the two of them, they look pretty different. Especially the older age group has more individuals who report that they care less, which is the red group. The differences between gender are less pronounced, where that's a small difference. There's some difference there, but there's smaller differences between men and women within the 18 to 34, and smaller differences between men and women between these groups. There's basically no differences right there. Does that make sense? If I point to this right here, Wes, and I say there's basically no differences between there, there's really just no differences between the men and women 35 to 64. So that's what they're going to be getting out this question, that most of the differences look to be an age difference, not a gender difference. So let's take a look at the question right here now that we understand the data and answer the questions. Okay. Are the differences in sample sizes in the 4 groups very large? How would we know the differences in sample sizes between these 4 groups? What tells us, think of an M word, the differences in sample size right here? Where would I look to see for the 4 different groups? And hint, where would I look and what is that called to look at the differences in the sample sizes? So knowing the terminology right here helps to be like, oh, those are very similar. I'm looking at the what. What do we call and how are we looking at the differences in the sample sizes right here between the 4 different groups? I'm looking at the what down here. So what do I call this? It's in the this, so we call it this. And they're all very similar. That's called the what distribution. And they're very similar. The widths of those bars are very similar. What do you call what? What do I call that down there? That's in the margins, so what do I call it? That is for 100 points. You know it now, right? Because I said part of it. That's called the marginal distribution. So they're all very similar. Like each group right here has about the same, where in other examples we saw there was a lot more. Here we'll go and look at a totally different example. There's a lot more individuals here in the no group. So the widths of the bars on the bottom tell you the percent of individuals in each group. And so those are very similar right there. So we'd say, yes, because the widths show about the same. Yes, because the distribution of the rectangle is, the sample size, Are the differences in sample size for a group very large? No, they're not large. Sorry. I was thinking, are they similar? I was like, no, this does work. No, because the bars are close to the same width, which is the marginal distribution right there. Which factors seem to be more important in determining how somebody responds? Is it age or gender? It's going to be age, because seems to be more important because the distribution of the responses is similar for men and women in each group. So as we pointed out right here, especially looking at this, the responses of men and women in these groups right here in the age 35 to 64 is very similar. 18 to 34 is pretty similar. The differences look to be when you go from the age groups that you see a difference in the distribution of how they respond to the variable. Judging by the top two comparisons of importance, which of the 4 groups thinks being successful is most important? So very important right here. Oof, it's very, okay. It's probably going to be very careful. So judging by the top 2 categories of importance, okay, that makes it obvious. Is it group 1, 2, 3, or 4? Can we do the medical researchers? Yeah, of course. You got it, Shaq. You got it. It's going to be women 18 to 34 because it's looking at how far down this goes right here. Great job, Wes, because these are the top 2 importance groups, the very and one of the most important. So it's this one right here because that is the majority, about 65% of women 18 to 34. So it's going to be the women 18 to 34. Woo! Another one, not going to lie. What are you guys saying now is so helpful. Colin, thank you so much. Colin right there, coming from the most magical place on the earth right there. Colin, you know what? We just had a random Colin appear. That's worth 1,000 points. Colin, the point totals are even crazier this semester, but they have to get to some really high levels. Colin, so good to see you here. And we're going to set up some really great stuff. Colin, just one of my first online students, and love some 1,000 points right there for Colin appearing in the chat. We love that. And we got some more questions. How high do we have to go, by the way? It goes up to like 500,000. There's a lot of points to get. Medical researchers conducted. We'll do that one. I think we only have one more on the list. Just working away right here, doing all these questions. 500,000 for the first part does not matter. Does it not matter? There are a lot more ages included in the 35. It's very similar. There's only a tiny bit more. So the widths of these bars on the bottom is the amount. Send some pixie dust right there. Thank you, Colin. So Colin right there. Colin, tell me if I get your name right. Brian just wait, I need to put I can't pronounce anything. I don't even know how to pronounce my own name. Oh my gosh. Medical researchers. Okay, medical researchers conducted. Let me find that one right here. A little chill music while Brian loses his mind. Fun times. We have medical researchers. Okay, wait. Is it medical researchers conducted? I think it might be one of the last ones. Aha, we found it. I knew it. Okay. So here we are. Medical researchers conducted a test on a placebo and an antidepressant to see how it helped people or didn't help people. Now, be very careful. I've seen a lot of people... Oh, I got to put the timestamp in this one. My brain said you did not timestamp it. Okay, so now that we got the timestamp, this one right here is about medical research. And with this, when we're looking at this right here, medical research a lot of times uses what's called a placebo. A placebo is basically a sugar pill. It's not always sugar. It's something that is not going to actually have an effect on you, or shouldn't. That's the goal of the placebo. It's like if I give you some air and I say this will make you stronger, and then you go and it makes you stronger. Well, that was just a psychological effect of me giving you something. So a lot of times just interacting with somebody in medical research might impact them. So you have to say, let's remove out the idea of the drug, and say, let's look at just the interaction we're having with them. So placebos are used a lot of times to say, well, are we really doing something, or is it just us investigating this and them thinking that they're getting better? So when we look at this right here, don't answer this question first, because this question can change and is contingent on the percentages. So the relapse rate of patients on antidepressants was what? So this is asking for a what distribution if we're looking at the relapse rate of patients who took antidepressants. Think of a C word right here. The relapse rate of patients who are on antidepressants would be known as a what distribution? This is a great question. We love this one. Don't ban this question. The relapse rate of patients on antidepressants would be the what distribution? The relapse rate of patients. It's not close answer right there, Shaq. It is for a categorical variable. It's going to look like this right here. And this is kind of the answer. The relapse rate of patients on antidepressants is the what distribution. It is a categorical variable, but it's the what distribution. The relapse rate of patients on antidepressants is the what distribution. So it means given they were on antidepressants, the percent of patients who relapsed. Given they were on antidepressants, the percent of patients who relapsed. You got it, Evan. It's conditional. Yep. So it's setting a condition. Does that make sense? So that is the percent of patients who relapsed. Yeah, no, this is just the practice. It's setting a condition. It's like given, no, it's just the practice. When we set a condition, we're doing a conditional distribution. So given a patient was on antidepressants, what's the probability they relapsed? Well, this is of only the patients who took antidepressants. So 2 out of 45, which is going to be, let me think right here. That's 4/90ths. So it should be 0.444444, 0.044444. Did I get that? No way. Because I think it's 0.04444. Let me just solve it. You ready? Put in the calculator. 2 divided by 45, 0.044444. Wow. Oh my gosh, what have I done? 4.4% right there. Okay. Now, so Evan, what is the percent of patients who relapsed on the placebo? What is the percent of patients who relapsed on the placebo? So solve this mathematics for me. Tell me the percent of patients who relapsed on the placebo. Here's the information for you. So given someone took the placebo, what percent of patients relapsed? So given somebody took the placebo, what percent of patients relapsed? 12 over 51, you got it. So that's given someone took the placebo, the probability of relapse, which is about 23.7%. What am I right? 23.7. It's 23.5. Darn it. 23.5. Okay. Now I want you to tell me, great job right there, Evan, more points in the chat. So I want you to tell me, do these look similar or do they look different? Do these look similar or do they look different? Like 4% or 24%, which they round to. Do them to 1 decimal, but I'm just saying about 4% or 24%. Do they sound similar or sound different? Hey, Nicole, great to see you here. Very much not similar. So would you say somebody relapsing is associated with what they took or not associating? If you say it's associated, then you'd be saying a person who takes this would be more likely to relapse versus this. Does it sound like they're associated here or not associated? Be very careful. This last answer right here that we're about to do is going to be dependent on how your percentages come out. A lot of people do this question and just always answer the same thing, but you need to look at these right here and say, oh, those look pretty different. So since they're pretty different, great job, Shaq, right there, more points in the chat. Well, no, this means they are associated. So there is evidence of an association. So an association means that if you know somebody took this one drug, they're more likely to have this happen. Does that make sense? Great job right there. So relapse is more likely if somebody takes the what? These are the percentages of relapse. Finish my sentence right here. We have ways to do it statistically. In this one, you would just look at it numerically and they kind of make it more obvious. I'll show you some versions of it here in a second. Shaq, great questions right there. Relapse is more associated if somebody takes the what here. It is more likely that somebody will relapse if they took the what. It is more likely somebody will relapse if they took the placebo. I don't know how long our stars are over the time. Can you do about the user-friendly inputs? Yeah, we did some of that. We'll be ending here soon because we got class in 20 minutes. Great questions, Nicole. We went over, so Nicole, you might have to check it out. And thank you, Nicole, so much for swinging by. We are going to have more office hours tomorrow, but here we are right here on the 474 portion, but we'll be ending here kind of soonish because we have class coming up here in about 20 minutes. But check out this portion right here where we went over building Lucid data files and the breaks and the messages right there. Yeah, awesome. And you can even rewind this video live right here. But if this doesn't answer your questions, let me know and keep messaging on the Discord. Thank you to everybody who's using it a ton this semester. 474 is really using the Discord. You can see some other versions right here. Notice right here, these two numbers are very what? You see how it's 32.6 and 34? So that's how you know the answer to this one, which is what you should answer last after you find out these percentages, the way I solve it right here. Love the officers, Blake says. Thank you so much, Blake. So what do you notice about these two percentages on the relapse rate? This is a totally different version right here. They're very what? Oh, I'm not leaving yet, Evan. These two percentages, 34 and 32.6, are very what to each other? 34 and 32.6 are very what? They're very close. And that's why there's no real evidence of an association, because it's like, you know, if I tell you, I'll give you 34% of your glass and soda, and another person gets 32.6%. So there's a numeric value. Not well, so we would do this in statistics, we'd use a p-value, which is what we're going to get to later in the class. So to be very direct, good questions, Shaq. Shaq, some 500 points. I love all the questions here because what we would do in statistics is we would actually calculate a p-value to tell us what is likely or unlikely by random chance. But even then, this is a very small, not really a practical significance, much larger difference. Like, see, look at that. That's only 0.8% of a difference. They'll make it pretty obvious if it's about, for this question, if it's about 2-ish%, I wouldn't say much of a difference. But you notice right here, relapse rate is about what times higher? Just tell me, look at 15 and 30. So the relapse rate is about what times higher on the placebo? It's about 2 times. Does that make sense? You could say, oh, the relapse rate was about twice as much. 15% of people relapsed when we gave them the antidepressant. 30% of people relapsed, and I'm rounding the numbers, when we give them the placebo. So it seems to me there is an association. People on the placebo were twice as likely to relapse. So this is looking at the conditional distributions. And if you can say a statement like that, then they sound like they're associated. Where here, the differences are less than 1%. You could say, well, about a third in both groups. Does it make sense if I say about a third of the antidepressant relapse and about a third of the placebo relapse? So as The Rock would say, it doesn't matter. So then we would say there really isn't much evidence of an association because it wouldn't matter if someone took the placebo or the antidepressant. Yeah, let's do one more right here. We got time for another quick one, so we're going to knock this one out because we got 17 minutes till class. Between this segment, boo, got time for a quick one. That's also I always try to do as much as we can. A survey of great job because your guys' assignment is due tonight. So we're going to try to do another quiz question, and we did some 474, so we can come back, especially another officer hours, do some more 474. And with your quiz due tonight, we're just going to try to throw one more in this video right here. Someone is saying, thank you so much. You're welcome, Shaq. Thank you, Shaq. And thank you, Evan. Someone is like, whoa, this question's my question. Oh, question, my question. A survey of 299. Got it. Oh, wait, I'm showing completed. I wonder, I was like, I already did this. Okay. Is our office hours? No office hours later today. Let me throw out that message to my class. No office hours later today. There's one office hours today. One office. Whoa. They updated YouTube. What? Oh, wait. Class in a little bit of a break. YouTube updated. Oh my gosh. Make a typo and everything is a typo. The new class times always make my head hurt. Announcements. Class in 25 minutes. Class in 25 minutes. See you soon. Click here. Okay. In section 4. Save. Here we go. And I love my home screen. Do you like Apple? I like apples. iOS 16 is awesome. Do you see the new iPhone update? Are you an Android? I'm an Apple. I'm an Apple right there. So I use both sometimes. I like Apple though. Started using Apple a long time ago. So I don't use Android that much. No Android. Okay. Follow the Apple HQ. Oh, interesting. Brian is on the right side of history. Oh, I like it right there. Okay, a survey of 299 undergraduate students asked the respondent part of their diet, are you carnivore, omnivore, or vegetarian? So omnivore means you eat both, and carnivore means meat, vegetarian means vegetable, and your political alignment, liberal, moderate, or conservative. A stacked bar chart. So what we're doing is we're comparing two different questions right here. Definitely omnivore. I think most people are omnivores. Like, if you're a carnivore, you just only eat meat. I mean, like, which of these best describes, like, do you lean? It should be lean vegetarian or lean carnivore. I guess people are vegetarians, but I can't imagine someone being pure carnivore. I mean, there is like the carnivore diet, but then that means, I mean, if you eat a sandwich and it's got a bun, that's not meat. So what do you have to do? You have to make like a meat protein bun. I don't even know. I don't understand raw meat for the carnivore diet. So yeah, I don't understand. Well, I don't know. I don't know how you can be pure carnivore. I can see you can be pure vegetarian. I just don't know how you can only eat meat. Yeah. Well, let's take a look. Okay. So vegetarians were more likely to be what right here? Vegetarians were more, just looking at this right here, these bar charts side by side, vegetarians quite clearly were more likely to be what? Given someone is vegetarian, they're more likely use meat. I take two things of chicken and I just put a burger between them and I just eat a chicken burger. That's what I do right there. You can see vegetarians are more likely to be liberal. And then I just put some bacon on there for tomatoes and then I put shrimp on. That sounds not horrible. Yeah, it's just I just stack meat. I'm like, man, this could use some seasoning rather than like put some parsley on there. I just chop up some, I don't know, some brisket and just put little sprinkles of brisket on my food for seasoning. But there's no seasoning on the brisket. It's just pork. So I just like you can't season it because that'd be vegetables. We got to go pure meat. I don't know. Never mind. You got to season. You got to put seasons on there. Okay. Liberals are more likely to be carnivores. No, wait. Vegetarians tend to be more liberal than those with other dietary preferences, and carnivores tend to be more conservative. Like, given someone's carnivore, they're more likely to be conservative. Given someone's vegetarian, they're more likely to be liberal. That looks to show it right there. No, vegetarians only. The difference is probably real. Diet preference and political alignment appear to be associated. If they were not associated, they would look the following way. Now, shows an association. If they're not associated, they would probably look the following way. And I prefer to use mosaic plots. If things are not associated, they're going to look pretty flat. So this is what not associated looks like generally, is if you go across the categories of X right here, it's not going to change the value of Y. Like imagine this, if I told you I have two separate tests, you have different, don't have those answers, then there must be another version. Let's check out the other version of it. We got enough time. So apparently there's a second version. Oh. What do the plots show right here? Same sort of thing. So conservative, this is different right here. Now we're looking at liberal, moderate, conservative, and conservatives are more likely to be carnivores, where liberals are more likely to be vegetarian. It still shows this, but definitely shows conservatives are more likely to be carnivores. Does this make sense? This might be your version right here. There aren't any conservative vegetarians, according to this. But this right here shows that conservatives are more likely to be carnivores and liberals are more likely, I mean, a lot of people are omnivores, but there's a higher probability of vegetarianism among liberals. So what do the plots show? Conservatives are more likely to be carnivores and less likely to be vegetarians than liberals. That sounds right. No, conservatives are not more likely to be vegetarians, according to this graphic. The differences are probably... Yeah, it seems like there is an association. This is probably real, and it seems like they're strongly associated. So if they're independent, they would look flat. Independence is going to look like this, where if you change across political alignments, the percent in each group remains relatively consistent. Why, when it says real, what does that mean? So real means that we're not seeing like a very small difference. Like when you sample people, you might see differences like this. So do you see how this group right here is a little bit lower? Like if we talk about carnivore, so that's carnivore and this is vegetarian or omnivore. So if we have omnivore up here, and we just ask people, are you an omnivore or a carnivore? Just two groups. So this is a difference right here in this group. And maybe we have, liberal, moderate, conservative. There is a difference right here, but that difference is very small. But if we were to change this and do something like this right here, now conservatives are way more likely to be what? Now, according to this graphic, conservatives are way more likely to be what? So this is carnivore and omnivore off to the side. Conservatives are way more likely to be what? According to this graphic I drew, conservatives would be way more likely to be, this is the carnivore down here, this is the carnivore down here, and the omnivore is represented by the top portion, which I can shade like here. So that's the omnivore percent. So this is the omnivore, and this is the carnivore down here. So conservatives have a higher percentage of carnivores according to this graphic right here. So with this, we would think that this is a real difference right here. So that's what they mean by real, where in the previous example right here, this difference is rather small. Did you already do the smoking rates question? I don't think we have, so let's try to knock that out. We got 18 minutes till class. 18 minutes. At 12:55, I'm teaching. I just want to grab a snack. Let's do this. Someone is saying I really want that on smoking rates. How's the smoking rate question start, Wes? Smoking. Anyone know what movie that's from? Stat 201. Chapter 3 quiz. Smoking rates. An organization provided. We haven't done that one yet. Okay, let's knock it out. Chapter 3. This will be the last one right here. Run out of time. I don't think we've done this one yet at all. That's why when we did it yesterday. An organization provided. Here we go. Let's go check it out. An organization provided. Right here at 123.43. 123.40. Let's go 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. How many people in stats smoke? Well, vaping is the thing now. So, we'll get research on that later and see how it's impacting people. But yeah, treat your body well. Once you get to your 40s, you're like, man, I'm getting old. So an organization provides data on smoking rates by year and for men and women separately. A table is provided with some of that information, complete parts A through B. So let's take a look at the table. So this is breaking it apart by men and by women and by year. So you actually have a trivariate display right here, or trivariable, trivariate. So we have here men, we have women, and then we have the percent which are in each group. So this is the percent of men right here in the 18 to 24 age group. And it's going across right here, the smoking rate, what percent smoke in each group. So they ask people, do you smoke? And in 1984, the 18 to 24 age group had 42.5% of people smoking. If you notice right here, there is a lower percent for each year. So as you go across any of these for men or for women, it's decreasing by year. So you can see here, women had about 35% smoking in 1984 for the youngest age group, went down to 16. The older age groups had a lower rate each time. Like in 1984, 24.1% of the men over 65 were smoking. The women had about 12%. They both dropped. 24 dropped to 9 for men over till 2014, as did for women from 1984 to 2014, dropped from 12 to 7.5%. So compare the smoking rates of the 18 to 24-year-old women to that of the men during that table. So we're asking specifically about this right here. Compare this to this. So women started out lower than men, but both decreased. So there's a decrease for both, but women started out lower than men. The trends are in the same direction. They both decreased, and the rates for women are generally lower than the rates for men. And we see that right here because the women started out lower, and at all instances, the value for women are lower than the value for men. Relatively few women over the age of 65 smoke. What other variable might be here? So they're looking for another variable. We did this one yesterday too, I think. So they're asking for an outside variable. And whether or not someone has a child is going to be an outside variable. And that's just a little bit tougher part of a question because they're asking like an outside variable. And yeah, they're not asking anything within the chart. The number of women is within the chart. The overall smoking rate of the population is a variable, like how many women, smoking rate, outside variable right here. So it says what other variable, and that's what they're really getting at right there by asking another variable. So good stuff right there. Excellent work. We did a lot of these questions. If you were here today, remember you can always ask those questions when you're here, or you can always come back and review it. I think how many questions are there total? There's like 14 or 15 questions. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions total. Good stuff. Check out the questions. These will be on there. I'm probably going to throw them on here right now. Got to remember because people use these videos pretty quickly for the ones we're doing today. So where is my thing? Here, we'll end off right here. Currently live. We'll put a little chill music on here as Brian throws on 3 people watching. More people will check this out later. Throwing in the timestamps as we do this. They updated a lot of YouTube this morning. The buttons look different. A lot of updates happen on YouTube, it looks like. Interesting. It's always like these little changes that become the way it goes. Well, we got foxes and bunnies in the chat. IG, no bunny tomorrow. Why no bunny? Why no bunny? Well, everyone, 13 minutes till class. Until then, bye for now, everyone. Bye. You doing fun? Bunnies in the chat. Maybe bunny tomorrow. Never know. We'll do the bunny intro next week.